Endings are happening. Endings are happening. La, da, 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 da. May we dance in the chaos and shed what does not belong to us. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cosmic Wizard Show, the astrology show for astrology nerds by astrology nerds. And I've been on hiatus for a really long time. What's going on in my life, but I am back and I'm going to be producing a lot of content around a really, really huge transit that we have coming up, which is the Neptune Saturn conjunction, which is happening throughout 2025 and 2026. It's mostly slated to be happening in 2026, and that is when it perfects. However, it comes within at least 15 arc minutes in July of this year. It could be 12, it could be 13, it could be 15. Either way, it comes very, very, very close before retrogrades happen and it starts to back off again. So in my opinion, oftentimes we'll see that the most intense part of a transit is right before it perfects. So I think that because we're getting so close, I basically count it as first contact, even though it's technically not perfect. Like, we are going to be dealing with this year. And I haven't thought that a transit was going to be this impactful since preparing for the Saturn-Pluto conjunction of, I guess it would have been very, very, very end of 2019 that happened, I believe. So, if you know what I'm saying. So I think that this is going to be really, really huge. There's also other outer planet involvement. I have another video that I made about this with Michael Hartigan of One Sky Astrology. If you want to learn a little bit more about the cycles of history and that sort of thing, we talked for like an hour and a half. You can check it out. This I'm going to keep a little bit more contained, and it's going to be less from the studious point of view and more from the just intuitive, what can we do sort of point of view, which is sort of where I land always anyways. So welcome. This gets as close as it's going to get this year in July. And I mean, it gets pretty close. We're building to it all this year, right? And I have a planner that I made. This one's a first print, so it doesn't really have a title on it, but it's fabulous. It has the constellation the moon is in every day. And oh yeah, for anyone watching this, I use constellational astrology, which means the actual size and placements of the constellations in the sky. So when I'm talking about, signs, I'm talking about the actual stars, the actual constellations, right? So in my planner, it'll show the constellations that the moon is in each day, according to the zodiac signs. The moon can go quite far off the ecliptic. Next year when I make it, I'm gonna show if it wanders into Cetus or anything like that. But for this year, that'll allow no one. And you can still get these if you want. I'll talk about that more at the end. But so as I'm preparing, I'm making this planner, I've got little interpretations in there for new full quarter moons, other important sort of happenings. And it's also a lunar journal as well. And you can also get the digital version for whatever you want to pay for it. But I digress. I had a lot of time to think about the upcoming transits, and this particular transit itself. I was born a year out from the last Saturn Neptune conjunction. And so I have this wide in my own chart, but I've definitely been getting some very strong feelings about what all of this means. The biggest impression that I'm getting about this transit is that, the line, the veil of what is reality and what isn't is going to be super thin, right? It's interesting to note that the last time that this happened, it was in Sagittarius, which was also where the Pluto Saturn conjunction happened as well, right? Pluto just moved into Capricorn after spending a very, very long time in Sagittarius. Our beliefs our beliefs and our connection to like what is true has really been changing for quite some time, right? And a lot of people have been on spiritual journeys and have been opening up to the world that exists beyond the reality we can see, feel, and touch. And that reality, structural, what we can see reality, is ruled by Saturn. And everything that's going on behind the curtain is Neptune's province, right? And this conjunction is going to be happening in Pisces, which is Neptune's homeland, right? Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. And when planets are in their own signs, that strengthens them. And so when we look at Saturn and Neptune coming together in Pisces, which one is stronger? Neptune, right? So Neptune's really going to be winning in this sort of scenario. And I think that reality may very well feel a lot less real for a while. And I think that, like, kind of on a fundamental level, it kind of will be. I believe that our capacity to create things with our minds is going to be very, very rapid and visceral, right? A lot of us on this path realize that to some degree, our beliefs, our thoughts, everything like that helps to create the reality around us. And at this time, that is going to be even more in operation than normal. I remember for a Pisces new moon once, I think it was conjunct Neptune too. Pisces new moon. I made this vision board, and I wanted to be living in the woods in a cabin. It felt so, 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 so very far away from anything that was actually possible at that moment. But I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna vision board it and like give it to Pisces. And I did. And I think within like a month or two, one of my good friends got in contact with me about like space on land that I could live. I now have that cabin. It was like that. It was insane, and it felt like so far from what could possibly be reality. And then reality just rearranged itself around me to be like, all right, here you go. And I think that we're going to be getting a lot of that during this time, which means that it's actually a super, super fruitful time where we can make really impactful, meaningful, really, really good changes, right? But it will operate whether we realize that it's happening or not. So it'll operate if we are stuck in fear and stuck in lack and stuck in panic and ruminating about things that we don't want to happen. That is in and of itself a way of manifestation, right? Rabbit in as an energy, there's like Native American tales about rabbits. I won't get into the whole story, but essentially that like rabbit is the fear caller, and rabbits, they can get so scared that they will die. And rabbit, the idea in the story is that they're so, so scared of whatever it is that they're scared of. And, they're rabbits. Lots of things can eat rabbits. So there's lots to be scared of, right? But that this fear that the rabbit is radiating makes it so that like whatever it is that it's fearing can actually find it, right? And so I think we have to be very, very, very careful of things like this, especially since when Neptune and Saturn come together, right? Saturn can have a really dampening effect, and Neptune, for good or ill, is like where we go to dream and believe and like search for some sort of ideal thing. So if our idealism itself is being hampered by Saturn and reality, that can create, a general form of malaise, of discomfort, of, possibly even fear. There's a Tarnas quote. I don't have my notebook around, but he says that when these two come together, it can create either a a general social malaise or a response to genuinely rather like horrible things happening, creating a sort of diffuse, and now I'm pontificating, I'm out of the quote now, but it creates a sort of diffuse depression almost through the people, right? Now, like I said, in this particular configuration, Neptune is stronger than Saturn. And what just popped into my head, there's a lot of like Delulu jokes about Pisces, Delulu is the Salulu. I don't know if you've seen that meme, but like that's a very, very fine line that I feel like we need to sort of consciously walk during this particular transit, right? We need to be able to believe that we can create like something better. And I think that there's going to be a lot of propaganda happening. I very strongly suggest turning off the news in whatever format that reaches you, turn off the TV, be very conscious of like any of the media that you are letting into your brain and actively saying no to anything that's trying to insert fear into your system. And this isn't about burying your heads in the sands. It's about, I don't know if y'all know the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to, what is it? Change the things that I can change. I'll find it. I'll find it. You all know what I'm talking about, though, right? Basically, the essential point is change what you can change. Don't worry about what you can, and like have the wisdom to know what the difference is. Because in reality, you getting whipped up and anxious and freaking out about something that you have like literally no capacity to alter in any way. Not only does it not help anything, but in this particular setup where, not only is this manifestation going to be happening on a personal level, it's also going to be happening on a collective level. All of us will be like here together, creating with our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, our desires, right? So how now is a really, really good time to take super, super fucking intense responsibility for what it is you are contributing via your thoughts, feelings, emotions, desires to the collective mind. Seriously. Now is the time. Now is the time to dream bigger, dream higher. Now is the time to look around and help where you can in your actual own communities. Stop worrying about everything that's happening outside of yourself and start giving where you can and making an actual impact. And if you do that, you'll start to feel that you can have an actual impact and you don't need to be freaked out doom scrolling all day, worrying about everything that's happening everywhere else. I'm not saying to like not have empathy, but like if you're downloading fear into your system based on the news that's being thrown at you constantly, you're falling for the tricks. Saturn rules the urge to survive, and Neptune rules television. And with Pluto entering Capricorn, by the actual stars, Pluto has just entered Capricorn to stay. It hasn't exited, it has just entered. Major systems are up for evolution right now. We have Pluto. Pluto's going to be trining Uranus. And so they're going to be like trine. And in the midpoint is this Saturn Neptune conjunction. I could bring cards up, but I'm not gonna. We're here to just talk and like receive energy. Changes are coming and they can be coming very quickly. And we need to be able to have a strong control of our own system to not get caught up in the hype. We need to be the motherfucking change, people, that we want to see in the world. And we need to be able to believe in it enough to lay a ground where those seeds can take root and flourish. It is so, so vitally important over the next 2 years. So, so important. And we like to give Saturn a bad rap because it is it is blah, 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 blah. It is a malefic, right? Malefics themselves can have a lot of potent medicine in them, for sure. But a definition that I heard by Chris Brennan that really, really nails it is that malefics, subjectively cause things that are not fun. It doesn't mean that they're actually inherently bad. It might be something terrible that actually reroutes you to something so, so, so much better. But in the process of feeling it, subjectively, you might be like, this kind of sucks. I would rather not. And so when we are able to look at malefics in that way, I think that it still like keeps it accurate while also not ignoring that they do have potent medicine. Some of the strongest fucking medicine comes from Saturn. If you can have the diligence, if you can have that devotion, if you can do the things that you need to do, the payoff. Oh, the payoff. So with Neptune winning, Saturn's going to be weakened. However, and we like to think of Saturn as like kind of bad, but that's not actually Saturn's function, right? It's important. Saturn creates boundaries, and we need some boundaries in this particular reality that we're living in, right? And so during this time, I think it's going to be very, very useful to be willing to be your own Saturn, right? And it's also a snake year, and it's also a 9 year. Okay. Endings are happening. Endings are happening. La da 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 da. May we dance in the chaos and shed what does not belong to us. Endings are happening, and we are shedding skins. Okay, so be willing to be like the snake and keep your belly to the ground. Be your own Saturn. Before, it's a cliche, but it is true. You have to put on your own oxygen mask first if you are going to be able to help anyone. And I feel like there's going to be a lot going on where we need to actually come together for fucking real. We all like to talk about community. And I think that when everyone is talking about community, they still just wish that someone else would come and do it for us. And that is 100% something that is very baked into this particular transit. You can go watch the video that I made with Michael if you'd like to hear more about it. But communism is something that's very resonant with this particular cycle of planets. And, in general, the idea that we all want an ideal and that it can be better, which is true. It can. We all want an ideal, but also like it's kind of cool if like someone else could just do it for us. And if like we could all work together, but like someone else was in charge of figuring it out. It would be so awesome if we had the village. It just sucks that society isn't like that anymore. Ugh, we just need the village. Do you realize what it takes to create a village? The village requires like actual sovereign adults deciding with full consent to come together and make something happen, to create together. And so there might be this urge. There might be this urge of like someone coming in telling us that will make it all better if we just hand our power over in the hopes of some magical ideal taking root. And it's on one level, it's true. it could be so much better. But we must resist the urge to hand it away for someone else to do it. If we are not a part of the Saturn, a part of the putting the work in, a part of the devotion, the dedication, then it is a delusion. We must be very, very careful of this. Handing everything away, being like, okay, daddy, make it better. No, no, no. We're going to dream a better world. We're going to speak a better world. We're going to use our own hands to help the people around us in our actual lives to make a better world. We're going to come together and create what we want to create. This is the way. It would also be very, 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 very useful to have a faith practice during this time. Some sort of spiritual practice that you have that opens up your channel to the divine, God, the universe, whatever it is you want to call it. Not going to some sort of group. Again, same thing. Not going through some sort of group that promises to do it for you, not going through a guru, a person who says they're going to do it for you, right? Opening up dialogue and having an actual conversation with God, whatever that means to you. Open the dialogue, open that channel. Start speaking out loud and watch the universe rearrange itself in answer. It's wild. It's wild. I think that is about everything that I have to say. Oh, to expound a little bit more on, being our own Saturn, keeping our bellies to the ground like snakes. We got to be able to really, really tend our own gardens. Okay. We cannot let ourselves get like totally fucking strung out and heady on everything that's happening in the world. Honestly, like, who knows what the fuck is going to be like saying that is happening is probably not happening. There's probably going to be like a lot in the news that is full on propaganda not happening whatsoever. Okay? So don't get on the ride. Turn off the fucking TV, eat your veggies, drink your water, move your body, do the things that you need to do to take good care of yourself in order to like be a beacon here, in order to be a community member, in order to be a part of the village. It is wild what can happen when actual people come together and help each other. It's crazy what's going on right now. There's a lot of disasters happening right now. I was, when I first moved out to the cabin that I mentioned, there was wildfires in the area. And it was wild to see what the actual community managed to accomplish when they came together to handle things. You know who didn't? Well, that would have been a little intense of a way to put it. Because of course, in a fire situation, it's good to have firefighters. I'm not saying that they did nothing, but the gross incompetence, the absolutely fucking gross incompetence of the government agents that are supposed to be in charge of these things, bordering on negligence, was not what saved those houses. It was the actual community working together, using their farming equipment, going in, talking to each other. There was people who were like live streaming every night, driving up taking videos so that people who had been evacuated knew what was going on, you know? It was amazing. They saved so many properties. And just like that, you know, when things like that happen, people can really fucking set aside the differences and the bullshit and come together and like work to make things happen very quickly. And when you see stuff like that, it will really replenish your faith in humanity, man. At least that was the experience that I had. You know, when shit goes down, humans can get it done. But it's us at the small level that are getting it done. Right? So what do we want to build? We need to stop giving so much power to the people who are supposed to solve things for us and taking matters into our own hands and just doing it. And that is real community. And that is the village. And we have the capacity in these next 2 years to build something beautiful. And it may feel like things are crashing down around us. It may feel like things aren't real anymore. It may feel, I don't know. It may not. It might be different, but we are in for a lot of change. How we handle that is up to us. And if we can keep a really tight leash on our own minds and not get on the rides and not fall for the fucking stories and know in our hearts that like, oh, hey, people actually are good. Oh, hey, like I do love my neighbor. Oh, hey, we can create something really fucking beautiful. And take responsibility for our thoughts and our desires and create from a place of desire and love instead of fear. You just watch what's going to happen. I think it can be absolutely beautiful. All right. I suppose this borderline sermon has gone on for long enough. That's what I have to say. That is my, surviving and thriving advice for this huge transit coming up is. And I wish you all beautiful blessings. I made this super gorgeous planner. If you would like one, you can still get one. I know it's like partway through January, but you know what? It's fine. If you're seeing this and it's not partway through January and it's way through the year, come find me at priestess.press on Instagram and I'll have info. I'm making one for next year as well for 2026. So I'll be sharing updates as I go. You can check out my website, www.priestess-press.art. And that has everything that I got going on. And I invite you to come check it out and connect with me. I also do little horoscopes for lunar cycles and all sorts of good stuff. So yeah, follow along. I've got a whole series of conversations I'm going to be hosting called Cosmic Conversations. They're going to be less about astrology and more, the tagline is Cosmic Conversations Meandering Through Existence Together. And it is very much focused on watering the fertile earth of this particular transit and really leaning in. So I encourage you to follow, subscribe so that you can follow along. I would love to share it with you. And thank you all so much for listening, watching this far. I love you all and have a good night.